Wait. Hold on. I need my mic. Okay. Maybe not that close to my face. Hello. Hola. Hold on. It has been a minute since I've done this. Hold on. Input mic. No. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hi. Okay. We're here live. The mic is working. Can everyone hear me? Hello. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So let's see. Let's scroll up. Valentina. Hi, Zoe. How are you? I'd like to contact you. I want to become a designer. I'd like to show you my design. I'd like you to see my designs and tell me what I should improve on. So listen, if you want reviews on work, I only do that through my Scale About page. So hold on one second. Okay. I'm putting the link in the chat. That's my Scale About page, and that's where you can request portfolio reviews. You can ask me all kinds of questions about fashion, and I create a 3 to 7 minute mini video personalized to your question. Okay, so that's that. So go check out my Scale About page. I have just started sketching my designs out for a future project, and your videos have helped so much. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. What do you think of the fashion brand Kate Spade? It's cute. It's just cute. Okay. There's a couple of fashion news stories that I want to talk about today. Number one, sending non-creepy hugs. All right. So I'm not going to talk about my family. That's just personal stuff, and it's ongoing, and it's not fun, but I am dealing with it. Thank you for your well wishes. Okay. The first news story I want to talk about is there is a Louis Vuitton workshop opening in Texas. Doesn't that sound crazy? Okay. So I read this on The Cut today. It says, there's a small town in Texas called Keene, Texas. And they're opening a brand new 100,000 square foot Louis Vuitton workshop called the Louis Vuitton Rochambeau Ranch. Okay. And they're like, why did Louis Vuitton move into a small Texan town? A release from the company said it was to meet the ever-growing demand for Louis Vuitton products in the American market. The company also signed the Pledge to America's Workers, a Trump administration initiative to bring better jobs that deliver bigger paychecks to American workers. Rolex, Volvo, and Walmart are other brands that have pledged to bring jobs to America under the initiative. So the workshop will be on 256 acres, located off a country road close to Keene, which has a population of 6,300 people. So we're talking like real small city, real small town, okay? And Louis Vuitton bought the land from a Dallas surgeon in a dude ranch known as Rocking Z Ranch. Okay. The release said it would create approximately 1,000 jobs over 5 years. Currently, the workshop has 150 employees. The leather goods workshop will train workers in leather goods craftsmanship, something Louis Vuitton knows a thing or two about. Louis Vuitton has 2 workshops in California as well. So the Rochambeau Ranch is not the first American outpost for the brand's production. The bags will carry Made in the USA labels, but the leather will be processed elsewhere and will not be made from Texan cattle. What do you all think? So who wants to move to Texas and try to get a job at the Louis Vuitton workshop? Yeah, if you are interested in working on accessories, if you are interested in sewing, into that kind of craftsmanship, I say go for it. Go out to Texas, why not? I mean, it's hot. And, I love Texas. I don't have anything against Texas, but as an Alaskan, I have to have a rivalry with Texas. That's just how it works for Alaskans. So yeah, Louis Vuitton is opening a huge workshop in Louis Vuitton. Question for you all. Do you think that having a Made in USA label in Louis Vuitton products has like the same cachet or the same price point as a Made in France Louis Vuitton? Question. Just think about it, okay? Okay, just reading some of your comments. What do you think about sustainable fashion? Hey, you must be new to my channel. Sustainable fashion is the future of fashion. And if you are trying to start a business right now, a new business in fashion, or continuing your business in fashion, and you are not thinking about how sustainability and ecological and renewable and biodegradable products are featured within your product line, and also all the accessories that go into business, such as shipping materials. If you are not thinking about all these things, then you are out of touch and have no future. You have to be thinking about these things. Okay. I'm going to Texas. I wonder what this will be. So yeah, go check out Keene, Texas. I don't actually know where Keene, Texas is in relation to other cities. Let's just look at a map real quick. Oh, they're right outside Dallas, Fort Worth. So, I mean, if you want to live in a big city, maybe you could kind of like live on the outskirts of Dallas, Fort Worth, and then work at the Louis Vuitton workshop. If you do get a job at the Louis Vuitton workshop, please shoot me an email, teaching@zoehong.com. I think that is super awesome. They must be getting some sweet tax cuts to move there. Not going to argue with you. I live in the Dallas area, not trying to move to Keene. Yeah, but maybe you could go visit and see if they give like tours or whatever. If I were ever in Dallas, I mean, I don't have a reason to be in Dallas anytime in the near future, but if I were in Dallas, I would try to see if I could get a tour out there. So I'm not a Louis Vuitton fangirl. I'm not a big fan. It's part of the fashion landscape. But I did go to a Louis Vuitton exhibit. They were celebrating a big anniversary, and they had these huge exhibits up in LA. And one of these trips I was taking to go visit my dad, I went to the Louis Vuitton exhibit, and it was 100% cooler than I thought it was going to be. Like, I went, it was not that far from my house. It was a free admission. So I was like, oh, let's go. And one of the things that they had was they had a stand where women were giving a live demo on how they sew up Louis Vuitton bags, which I thought was really cool. And, they have very interesting history, and they have some really beautiful products in their history. They had all these displays with like 120-year-old trunks that are still intact because the craftsmanship was that good. So, I don't know. Dun, dun, dun. Is Made in USA a prestige name for manufacturer like Made in Italy, or is it mostly appealing? I hate it when the stupid thing jumps while in the middle of reading. Is it mostly appealing for American-based clientele? I think that, well, for American clientele, Made in USA does have a cachet because Americans do believe, I say they, like I'm not American, I'm American. That's what my passport says. I've been living in the US for 36 years. And, you know, there's definitely a cachet. People have a lot of like belief in the quality of Made in USA. I'm just not sure what Europeans think of Made in USA and what Chinese people think of Made in USA, because, you know, that's where a lot of these things are being bought, right? Europe and China. So I would love to hear from Europeans and Chinese people. Although I'm probably not going to hear from a ton of Chinese people, since I am aware YouTube is blocked over there. I'm not sure I have a ton of Chinese fans, subscribers. And I mean Chinese people living in China. You know, I'm sure there are tons of Chinese Americans and Chinese Canadians, just in general. Hi from San Diego. Hello to San Diego. Hello, hello. Not for Americans, for foreign countries. Yeah, I think maybe for some people outside the USA, it'd be desirable. For us in the States, not so much. I think it is desirable for us in the States, not for Louis Vuitton. I think that Made in the USA is a cachet for all kinds of products, because a lot of Americans look down on, you know, products that are made in Asian countries, and they think that's like fast fashion, poor quality, and Made in USA feels more quality than made in Asian products. And that's a feeling, okay? That's not necessarily the truth. That's why I make videos like how to shop for quality clothes, because quality is not necessarily from the country. And the thing is that there are a lot of European fashion houses that will go unnamed, where, you know, countries like Italy, they have very relaxed laws about what is considered made in Italy, made in France. And a lot of the time, you know, these purses, they're assembled 90% in China. And then these 90% assembled bags are shipped to Italy, and a bunch of Italian zipper sewers sew in the zipper and do the finishing, last 10%. And that's still good enough to be considered made in Italy. So people have these very skewed ideas as to what a country of origin label means for the quality of their product. And so it's more important to understand quality and to look for it, as opposed to look at the label and assume things. Any book review coming soon? No. It's going to be a while, but I have like 5 book reviews on a playlist. What's your opinion on fast fashion? Okay, a lot of businesses have located to Dallas, Frisco, Plano, McKinney, Carrollton. Okay. I've recently been having doubts about my creativity as a designer. How do you define creativity? I think it's about getting back on the horse and trying again to come up with new ideas. It is the coming up of ideas, and it is also the implementation of ideas. I think that so many of us think that it's enough to be the armchair quarterback. And for those of you not familiar with that term, the armchair quarterback, it's those usually dudes, but it's those people who sit in a big, fat, squishy armchair in front of the TV during a football game, screaming at the TV, you know, telling them that the coach is terrible and the quarterback sucks and that they should do this and they should do that. And I understand that that's part of the fun of the game, is getting all riled up and rooting for your home team and getting excited and being so happy when they're winning and being disappointed when they're not, and, you know, yelling at the other team and stuff. Like, I understand that is the joy of sports, but this whole mentality of the armchair quarterback constantly talking about what they would do and what ideas they have, that's not enough. Okay, so you have to learn how to implement things. And so when you get stuck on new ideas, then maybe that's when you start thinking about working on your technical skill so that you have the technical skills to back up your ideas, and that really shows off your creativity. Because if you cannot show off how to do things, then you don't know how, you can't express your creativity, and creativity is nothing if it's not expressed. And I get these questions constantly, like, Zoe, do I have to learn how to sew in order to be a designer? Do I have to learn how to drape in order to be a designer? Do I have to learn how to draw in order to be a designer? It's like, you have to pick something. Okay, because I'm sure you're all interested in fashion because you have a lot of ideas on amazing clothes that you want to make in your mind. But if you don't know how to draw, and you don't know how to drape, and you don't know how to sew, and you don't know how to make patterns, you don't know how to do any of these things, you got to pick one method in order to show people the ideas you have going on in your head. Okay, so you have to at least pick one route, whether it's a 2D drawing, flatting, Adobe Illustrator route, or a 3D route where you're better with your hands, and so you're draping and showing people on a dress form what's going on in your head. You have to pick one. And so creativity is having ideas in your head and also being able to express them in a real way that can be made in real life. Because if the ideas you can't make them happen, then they're not really good ideas. So I'm a freelance technical fashion designer from Bali. Bali. That's on my travel wish list. Dang. But it's so close to the equator, I'm kind of scared of the heat. Unfortunately, the brands I've been helping that claim they are ethical, sustainable, whatever, are not as they claim. Yeah, that's true. That's why, when a brand says that they are sustainable, it's not enough that you just believe them. Anyone can write whatever they want on an Instagram profile. You should ask them, what is so sustainable about your brand? All I know about Dallas is that was where Kennedy was assassinated. Okay, that's a big thing. Zoe, I see fashion designer are getting toward digital art nowadays. I mean, you think that one day markers will die, iPads will be the new fashion? I don't think that markers will die in terms of fashion illustration, much like oil paints have not died just because photography happened, acrylics happened, markers happened, other media have come and gone. Everything goes in cycles and styles go in and out of fashion. But as long as the medium exists and there continues to be a quality version of that medium will continue to be used. There are always, and it cycles. Like there was for a long time, all these brilliant fashion illustrators that were doing all the ads in newspapers like Women's Wear Daily. And those were my teachers in college, like Jackie Doyle, Catherine Hagen, Pat Stiles. They were all brilliant fashion illustrators who were doing all the ads for designers and department stores in fashion magazines. And when those jobs went away because fashion photography became more and more popular, that's when they started to teach, the next generation of fashion illustrators, because now it was all about photographers, and the fashion illustration skills were all about communicating design in a portfolio setting. And then now, portfolio is, photography is still around, but there has been a resurgence in fashion illustration, hand-drawn fashion illustration in the past decade or so. I think everything just kind of comes around. Hello from Australia. Do you have any favorite Australian designers? I don't. But also, I don't always know where everything is from. So throw some names at me. Hello to Loveland, Ohio. Do you guys say Loveland or is it Loveland? Like, do you say it like real fast or do you have an accent? You know, I have a friend from Louisville and I said it Louisville my whole life. And then one day he was talking to me and he's like, no, Zoe, it rhymes with oval, Louisville. What would you say is that best way to balance creation and minimum viable product as someone who's just starting out? And also, what point would you recommend doing commissions? I don't understand that question at all. Commissions are like you either do them or you don't. They're either a part of your business structure, something you do on the side, or I don't know. Hello to Sri Lanka. Hello to Sri Lanka. I know that here in the UK, there's a movement for made in the UK as we no longer have manufacture here, but as far as USA, I've never seen marketing for it as a signal of quality, etc. See, like every country has their own idea. What are your opinions on streetwear? I mean, that's a really vague question. Streetwear clearly has a place in the fashion world, and there's ugly streetwear and there's, you know, cool looking streetwear. I don't know. Hello to Dallas. If you have a presentation, I mean, coming up and it's about jackets, is that for school? If it's a school project, you need to ask your teacher. Like, nothing I say is going to supersede what your teacher would say. Because I'm not grading any of your projects. Your teacher is grading the projects. Your teacher has expectations for your homework, not me. Hey Zoe, I want to go for fashion design as a hobby, and could I get your opinion on how one would start that? No. Fashion design is not a hobby. Okay. I don't even know what that means. Like, how would you even do fashion design part-time? I mean, do you sew and you occasionally make dresses for your friends? That could be a hobby. Do you like to draw and you occasionally do illustrations? Like, I don't know, like fashion illustrators and people who make dresses on commission or made to measure, they spend so much of their non-drawing or sewing hours chasing customers, putting out social media, going to events, networking, emailing clients, fielding questions. Like, I don't know what it means to do it as a hobby. Any advice, tips, or books that recommend how to deal with the taxes and expenses portion of business and fashion? Get a tax guy or a tax girl, whatever. I have a tax person, and the money I spend on them so that I don't have to get a huge headache, the money I spend so that I know that things are being done legally and that I can ask a lot of questions and understand things, cater to my specific needs, is the best money I spend every year. Literally. It's the best money I spend every year. My husband and I sit down, we go over expenses, we go over our income, his, mine. We have very different kinds of income because he works at a company, and there's all that, and he has wages and whatnot. And whereas I do the YouTube thing and I have multiple sources of income because I do all this freelance stuff, so we have very different. And so I get to ask an expert all my questions, and it's the best. Sometimes you just hire and pay for the expert. I accepted an internship at a local boutique to become a sew tech. The shop focuses on sustainable fabrics. Woohoo! Yes, I'm excited for you. Do you think I have a place in fashion as someone who wants to be experimental and not necessarily just create what everyone else is doing? What about someone who just wants to innovate? There's a place for anyone's aesthetic. You think about it and you look at all the stuff out there, and there is a ton of beautiful things and a ton of ugly things. And there's a ton of weird things, and there's a ton of boring things. There's everything, and it's all opinion. So there, in terms of aesthetics, there's space for everyone. It's a matter of quality. Quality is less subjective. It's a matter of how hard you work and the connections you make. What are your favorite places to go to get inspired? I like to travel. I'm thinking about going to Shanghai next month. I'm not sure yet. Do you listen to music when you work, and what do you listen to? I listen to a lot of hip hop and I listen to a lot of K-pop, but not while I'm working. I I usually listen to those when I'm driving, and I watch a lot of random TV shows that play in the background while I am working. You are the reason I'm passing my fashion illustration class. Thank you for all your illustration tutorials. Yay! Congratulations on passing your fashion illustration class. Hello to San Francisco. Say it fast, Loveland. Okay. Loveland, Ohio. Dun, 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 dun. Hello from Morocco. Hello to Morocco. What do you think of Moroccan fashion? I don't actually know much about Moroccan fashion. Thank you. I turned my friend on to you. She's so grateful. She loves you. Thank you very much. Thank you always for spreading the word and sharing my videos with people. Hi, Zoe. I want to start my own apparel manufacturing biz, but I do alterations from home now. I want to eventually wean to designs and build my clientele to build the business organically. Any advice? If you already have an alterations business and you have customers who are coming in to you for alterations, then you already have a leg up from a lot of people, because you already have a customer base of people who care about fit and making sure things look good on them enough to go see an alterations person. And so that's what you do. It's like, listen, I make stuff from scratch too. And you can start putting posters all around your business so that when people come to drop off and pick up your stuff, they know, oh, this person makes stuff from scratch. Maybe I'll just get something custom. And I would recommend that you make a few things that really show off your skill set and put them on dress forms. Or if you can't afford that, just put them on hangers and have them hanging. And, like when people come by, you can kind of steer the conversation to the work that you have hanging. Like, oh, I'm making this for a client, or I'm making this for myself. I do this, I do this too. I love making wedding dresses. I love making suits. I love making period pieces, or, whatever you like to do. Be like, yeah, I'm doing this for myself, but I do this for clients too. What do you think? And start moving your customers over. And then of course, tell them like, if you know anybody who's looking for a ball gown for, they want to wear a fancy dress to the ballet, I'm your person, and build that up. Da-da. Alex Perry, Sass and Bead, Colette Dinnigan. Sass and Bead, that sounds so familiar. So do you know a bit about how factories negotiate with the fashion designers that are starting a business? Yeah, all fashion designers are at a disadvantage. Factories, it is sad to say that factories, they kind of hold all the cards because you need them and they don't always need you. They have a lot of work because more people are interested in the glamour of fashion design than they are the nitty gritty of running a sewing factory. So there are fewer sewing factories, they're more in demand. And so, you know, they're like, oh, we'll squeeze you in when we want. I did not misspeak. That's what they mean. That's what they mean. We'll squeeze you. We'll squeeze you in when we want, and they don't. Sewing factories. They do not work first come first serve. Okay, like other businesses. This is not like Burger King where you go in through the drive-through and you get your order in the order of the cars. Okay, they squeeze your job in when they feel like it. If they have an order for 500 jackets and you have an order for 50 jackets, they'll squeeze you in when they have a minute, but they will cater to their 500 jacket customer before you. So, you really have to work on their terms. Don't let them, ride all over you. But it is a dance, and make sure you get everything on paper, okay? Speaking of innovation, what would you define as innovative? Who is a great example of an innovative designer? I don't know, probably Iris Van Helpern. I think some of the stuff Guape does is really weird and interesting and out there. I think anyone who's working in 3D printing for fashion is really out there. And people who are just really embracing sustainable fashion in ways that aren't so trendy. Like Stella McCartney, she has always been ahead of the pack in terms of preaching sustainability. And that has just been her game from day one. And she has never wavered from that. And that makes her an innovative designer. And she is now, her company was with Kering, and now she has moved over to, who has she moved over to? I think she's moved over to LVMH, and now she is the sustainability advisor to Bernard Arnault, which I think is really interesting, and it will breed some results. Do hand-sewn garments still have a place in today's fashion rather than using a machine? It depends on what you're doing the hand sewing for and how good quality it is. If you can make it like a marketing feature and it doesn't take too long, like people, unless you are at the literal couture level, people don't really pay to wait that long for you to hand sew something, especially if it's just a simple straight seam. Like, I don't think people much care if your side seam is sewn on a machine. But if you can show beautiful, visible hand stitching, some kind of embroidery, something decorative, some like smocking sort of things, and that's a selling point for your designs, then I think people enjoy that very much. In that case, how do you develop work ethic? What do you do when you feel lazy? You just have to learn self-discipline. You have to set yourself a schedule and stick to it. There are some things where there's no way of doing it. You just have to do it. And you have a to-do list for the week. And as you work, you're going to learn how long it takes for you to do stuff. And you just have to do it. It's like, oh no, I know that something like this is going to take me 3 hours. Then schedule 3 hours for that task and stick to that schedule. Any updates on the Hollywood costume series? To be honest, videos are really not the priority right now. Like, I want to keep the channel up to date and current, and I'm doing these monthly live streams because I love you guys and I want to stay in touch with everyone. But there are a lot of things going on in my life that, I have other projects. My family is a priority. So I'm not launching into new series that require a lot of background work. But I love Hollywood costume, and I love the idea of the video series, so it has been bookmarked for 2020. I've been looking at illustrators to get a feel for illustration styles. How did you develop your own style without copying? I just drew a lot. And I drew a lot of different things. I didn't draw a lot of different things. I mainly, 99% of the time, I draw people wearing clothes. Sometimes I draw people not wearing any clothes, but mostly people wearing clothes. And I just kept drawing. And of course, there are a lot of assignments where I was required to do things a certain way at school, or a boss would tell me that I had to present things in a particular way. But I drew a lot just free form on my own with various media, and just let myself, express my line the way I wanted, just let myself gravitate towards color stories that I like, because that's what comes naturally to me. So in between doing things that were required of me from school and work, and then just playing around and just letting myself be me, just like getting dressed in the morning, where I work from home, and so I literally get to wear whatever I want. So it's like that. It's like you just try to draw whatever you want and just let it develop. And and yeah, you can find inspiration. And yes, I have done things where I've tried to mimic someone else's style just to see what it feels like, and I love trying to figure out how they did it. Like when I see a certain kind of painting, I'll be like, hey, okay, is this like, they did like a partial wet on wet, and then they did a dry brush on top after it dried, right? I love trying to figure it out. And in the process of those experiments, you're not going to end up copying someone, because you're going to have your own hand. And so your hand will, I love Bill Donovan so much, but my style is never going to be his style. I just admire it so much. But my watercolor has improved so much from trying his techniques. So you just have to try. That sewing factory tour that was in Arizona. No, that was in New Mexico. That was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That is Kathleen Fasanella's sewing factory in Albuquerque. And you can go check out more of her stuff and the sewing boot camp at fashion-incubator.com. Let me type that out for you guys. No. There you go. And then, okay. What do you think about the growing fashion industry in the Pacific region? Do you mean on the west coast of the US, or like Pacific Islands, like the Philippines or something? Totally different answers. I teach fashion design at home. Comment on your amazing video. I like it. A little bit struggle about sewing because after design student asks for... I can't give you advice because I don't understand your question. Okay. Is it difficult to join the high fashion industry? So if you want to work for a big design house, a big label that everyone knows, first of all, you have to live there, and you have to build your connections, because it's normally not enough to send in your resume. So you have to live in the fashion capitals. You have to get out there. You have to talk to recruiters who recruit for the big fashion houses. You have to build your portfolio, post it online. I mean, those are just like the starting grounds. Is there a way for a 16-year-old boy like me to get some fashion experience in a smaller town? I grew up in a small city. I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. And at the time I lived there, it was about 250,000 people. And even though that seems kind of big, you have to remember that Alaska is very far from everything. And this was pre-internet era. when I was in high school, the internet was being born. And when I was in high school, slash, like you had to tell people the entire thing. Okay. That's how new the internet was when I was in high school. And what I did was I got an internship at my town's opera house, Anchorage Opera. And I got a gig. It was a high school internship that was sponsored by my high school. And it was working at their costume shop. And that was one of like the big internship entry on my resume. Like for a long time, it was just the costume design internship and fashion school that was on my resume. And I learned a lot of things that also apply to fashion, and people understand that. I learned tons about fabric, about dyeing silks, about working with actors and actresses. I learned about fitting. I learned about mending things, just hems get ripped. And, when you are, working on all these costumes on different bodies, things get ripped and you need to be mended all the time. I work backstage during shows and I learned how to lace up corsets and all these things. And I think that a lot of towns, if they don't have a fashion industry, they will have some kind of community theater, local theater. And so you can volunteer at the costume shop and learn your way around making stuff. And that's a nice bump for you. And additionally, you can also work retail. So those are two different ends of fashion. Man, it is getting dark in here. Hello. Okay. So there are two kind of fields. So maybe you get a part-time retail job and then you work once a week at a costume shop and you learn, making things and selling things and working with customers. Hello, hello, hello. I thought I graced the live stream with my presence. Oh, thanks, James. What do you think about puffy jackets techies wear? What do I think about them? Yeah, listen, I'm in Silicon Valley and I am surrounded by tech nerds who wear plaid shirts and puffy vests. And I've been trying to kind of wean my husband off of that aesthetic. So he does wear a lot of button down shirts and jeans to work, but I have been moving him away from wearing too much plaid. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just bored. It's just like this tech uniform. Ooh. Hello to Mexico. I just had a baby boy, by the way. Congratulations. I think I remember you had posted a photo of an apartment you were moving into with your partner and all that. So congratulations on your baby. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, Aslan's Angel, for your nice comment. Is there a specific era that has inspired you to create new designs, like one you gravitate towards the most? No, the thing about me is I get bored easily. And so I love teaching because when I do all these design demos, I get to just design whatever I feel like that day. If you have watched a lot of my videos, you know that I design all over the place. I have done the Badass Grandmas project. I have posted things like mesh panel athletic wear, like athleisure clothes in my Instagram. I have done full-blown ball gowns with 800 ruffles. How many of you remember my football padding inspired design project? So I'm all over the place. And I like it that way. I get to design a lot of different things. And back when I was designing full-time, I would come home and usually design the opposite of whatever I was doing at work that day. Like, I had this one job where I was doing a lot of private label for Reebok. Not me personally, the company I was working for. And so I was doing a lot of track jackets and bright colors. And that was back when Reebok had that weird 8-pointed star thing going on with the one, it was like a snowflake. They called it the snowflake and had like one red one. And I was so tired of that. I would come home and I'd draw these like bias cut gowns because they were like the opposite of like sporty track jackets and graphics. I do love the 70s. I think the 70s, just like the attitude of the 70s, not necessarily like every silhouette and every style and everything. There's something about the 70s that just has like a really sexy attitude that I like. Just kind of like a I don't give a bleep and just kind of groovy sort of thing. Oh my God, YouTube, stop doing that. I am coming from a philosophy background, so I'm very analytical and enjoy appreciating all the nuances of a piece. Do you also enjoy this? Up to a point. You know, I love all the different facets of fashion. I love how, you know, fashion can be beautiful. I love how fashion can be a bellwether for economics and politics, and you can chart big movements in history through clothing. I appreciate insane craftsmanship, like all the tiny little details. But at the same time, I'm always like, are people going to want to wear this? Is this a thing that a person can put on their bodies, feel good, and move about their day? Because that's baseline, right? I think that some brands, they forget that, and that's why they go out of business. Hello, Zoe. Greetings from England. Hello, England. I'm a student who's studying animation. I wanted to thank you for inspiring me to build more unique fashion into my character designs. Woohoo! You know, I've mentioned this before, but it is my dream to work for an animation studio like Pixar and help them with their character development, you know, with their clothing, and helping them, you know, with their costume design to help them push the story. Because a lot of the time the clothes can be kind of boring. Like the rendering for their clothing is getting better and better. Like I used to not like how they rendered the fabrics and stuff, but they're getting so much better at that. But I think that the next step is for them to actually have like really interesting costumes, and they can do more than live action because they're animation. I mean, they can draw and design whatever they want, right? What is your process editing like a runway show? Editing a runway show? You mean editing a collection or editing a video or runway show or what? I don't know. What are your thoughts on streetwear? I answered that before. How would you send a well-established brand to the next level? Absolutely depends on the brand. Speaking of, my second news story that I want to talk about is one of my followers sent me a link to this story on the update to the Barneys. So Barneys, it got lit up real bright because I just opened the news story. So Barney's filed for Chapter 11, and so they're trying to figure out how to dig themselves out of the hole. And they are working on closing a $270 million deal with Authentic Brands. And Authentic Brands is a brand developer, and they maintain a wide roster of fashion and apparel companies ranging from Juicy Couture, Judith Lieber, Jones New York, Volcom, and Aeropostale. And they're going to be doing a lot of things, like they're going to keep some of their brick and mortar stores open. And then there is a deal between Authentic Brands and Saks Fifth Avenue, namely actually Hudson's Bay, which owns Saks Fifth Avenue. And so if this deal goes through, then within Saks department stores, they're going to have like, you know, mini Barney's department stores within the Saks. Like, you know how like Bloomingdale's, they have like a Ralph Lauren store. So the Saks are going to have like a little Barney's inside the Saks. My question is, are they going to be featuring Barney's label products or the aesthetic that Barney's was going for with the different brands that, you know, they stocked at the original Barney's? Because there's a lot of Barney's label stuff, because Barney's does a lot of private label. I know this because I used to work for a company that Barney's did private label with. So what they would do is Barney's would contact us and they say, we want this jacket except we want to change it a little bit and we want you to put a Barney's label in it and we're going to sell it at our store. And that's what they do. So they would order the coat in a specific colorway. They would change like one or two things. And then little things like, if we had a color contrast, they would remove the color contrast to make it all one color. Something small like that, right? Nothing that would require like huge pattern revisions or anything. And then we would put the Barney, they would send the label and we would sew in the Barney's label and ship it to them and they would sell it at their store. And so I'm wondering if it would just all be Barney's private label done like that. Because to my knowledge, they don't have their own product development, sewing factory system, their production system like that. So, and then another thing is Saks would run Barney's website. And let me tell you, that sounds like a stupid idea because I don't know if you guys remember that huge security breach that Saks.com had experienced a few years ago, and they did not handle that very well at all. So that's not somebody I would trust with my website. And then they're basically licensing out the Barney's name to authentic brands. And I mean, to me, so this deal isn't a done deal yet. It's just all in the works. But to me, it's like the name is everything. You hear about all these companies where they lost the rights to their name and they went bankrupt because they couldn't control their name anymore. So if you lose the rights to your name and someone else is going around licensing your name and putting your name on a bunch of stuff where you don't get a whole lot of say in the matter, what's going to happen to your brand? Because the people that are on Authentic Brands roster, like Judith Lieber and Volcom, are they really on our radar? Are they people that we really think about? Are they brands that we covet? I mean, Judith Lieber has an amazing history and the product is exquisite, but is it a brand that we think about a lot? And so if they're a brand developer, why are they not developing the Judith Lieber brand into something that's as special as the product? So that's, yeah. Are you going to dress up for Halloween? Maybe. I don't know. Someone tried to convince me to dress up as Edna Mode from The Incredibles because I do have my old glasses that do look like Edna's glasses. And all I would need is a wig with bangs, if I did like the short hair and then got bangs and then just ran around yelling at people. I mean, I already do that part, so. I can't say, but I want to say how much I appreciate your videos. Thank you. What do you think about Rihanna's own identity within LVMH? I don't think that a lot of people associate Rihanna as an LVMH brand yet. I know she is, and I know she's being backed by them for her clothing line, but I think that Rihanna has her own character, her own personality as a celebrity, and it's so strong because she's been around for a long time and she's never deviated from this strong personality that I don't think the LVMH part has really infiltrated her much. And I think that within the LVMH stable of brands, she is really the most anti-establishment within an establishment. I wasn't too thrilled with her first collection, but I am eager to see what she comes up with next. What do you think fashion retail is headed in the era of Amazon? It's interesting about Amazon because I know that there are a lot of brands out there who refuse to sell on Amazon, and they work on getting like third-party sellers to not sell their product on Amazon because that's not a company they want to be associated with because of the whole counterfeiting issue. Like in terms of fashion and beauty, That is the biggest concern, is the authentication. It's like, if I order a Nike something, how do I know for sure it's a Nike something? That's like kind of like a big thing with the brands. Your boredom over your husband's uniform is how I feel about menswear in general. How many times can the male species be fed the same thing over and over and still think it's fun? I don't think they think it's fun. I think that a lot of the time men don't care. I mean, my husband cares more now because he's been, in a relationship with a fashion person for the last 15 years. And so, the other day I bought him a button-down shirt that has little flamingos, like little outlines of flamingos all over it. So he gets a kick out of fun shirts like that. And he has started Dress Up Fridays at his office just for funsies. Like, no one's wearing a suit to work or anything, but just something a little bit dressier just for funsies. I think that the menswear surge that's been happening is a new kind of thing where men are like, screw toxic masculinity. I'm going to express an interest in fashion. There's some of that involved where it doesn't seem cool. There was that whole point with the whole term metrosexual where, men who appreciate grooming and looking nice and clean and, showing an interest in fashion, they're automatically labeled gay. And so, people started using this term metrosexual to make sure people knew that they liked fashion, but they were not gay. Like, there's a lot of that loaded up in there. And, yeah, it's considered a thing. It's a personality trait, I think, that parents push on little boys, for boys to not care about their appearance and for girls to care about their appearance. So that's really going to be the thing when we just, and I have a lot of friends who are parents that are real free flow about gender and gender expression. And I mean, their little boys wear tutus around the house when there's no one to judge them. So I think that it's a lot of that is wrapped up in it. It's the whole perception of what is male, post-industrial era. When you talk about building connections within the industry, how do you maintain them and keep them healthy? I feel like connecting with someone based on their position in the industry can feel insincere. How do I go about building these connections without coming across as desperate or just after what they can offer me? Make friends. And, build a relationship where it's not just only talking about, what positions they have at their company, if they have any job openings at their company, but talk about fashion, invite them to, if you're throwing a party, invite them. Or if, you see something funny on the internet, send it to them so that it's not, so you guys can have a laugh over dumb stuff. That's how you make friends with just about anybody, And so that's how it should be like. Just have conversations about everything. So it feels, and maybe it will turn into a genuine connection. Soul Train videos. Yes. God, I wish I could dance. I mean, I don't think I'm an embarrassment on the dance floor, but nobody is asking me to be on Soul Train. Wait. Where am I? Can you talk more about the clothes going down the runway and how it's a prediction of a recession? Yeah, I mean, I touched on that in that video I posted. And there's not a lot more to add. I talked about how, when designers think a recession is coming, and here's the thing, is like a lot of fashion podcasts and blogs and channels like mine, we do talk about politics a little bit because politics does affect fashion. Tariffs affect fashion, immigration laws and employment laws and unemployment and all these things they affect the industry, they affect business. And so it is all wrapped up in that. And so designers have to pay attention to the global economy. They have to pay attention to the economics of the countries that they sell in, which they're trying to sell everywhere. So everywhere. And so if they notice, they will notice individually within their own companies what styles are selling, what styles are not. They'll see if their own customers are veering towards safer options. Sales are down because the general economy is down. When they notice these things within their own numbers, okay, because there are, behind the designers, there's a whole team of people who are crunching numbers on a retail level and feeding this information back to designers and be like, designers, listen, our customers love our pants. Let's offer lots of pants, things like that constantly, right? And these are, this is all information that designers have to, put into their collections, okay? And so when they see these trends, they do play it safe. When the shoppers are playing it safe, they cater to that. When they see that economy is booming and people are being wild and free and buying things that aren't necessary, like buying more trendy things, they're not really thinking about how long is coat going to last me. They get a little bit freer with their designs. Okay. And this is not to say that, yes, a recession is coming. It's when designers see this trend. And so when you see a lot of the runway stuff looking really safe, you got to start thinking. Then start reading a bit about, the economy in general. Pixar would love me. I wish. Do you work at Pixar or know someone? Let's make that happen. I would love to work with Pixar. And this is going to happen. Many of us want to buy art supplies on November sale, so I should wait to see if prices lower in a recession or just buy in November. The recession is not going to help so much that it's going to give you 60% off gouache. Do you still use the Mitsubishi sharpener? Yes, I do. I love it. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know that I bought these sexy Blackwing pencils as a part of my retail therapy. They have these cool, like, rectangular erasers on the tip, and they're a very soft 2B lead. And so I know it's funny because old school fans, they know me as someone who almost exclusively uses mechanical pencils because I hate sharpening pencils. But these pencils are so sexy and so smooth and so wonderful to draw with that it's worth it to me. Zoe and Pixar freaking badass crossover. Right? Right? This is what I'm saying. I don't think shopping will ever be 100% online. I don't think so either. I think that there's too much hesitancy about not being able to try things on. And I think that a lot of money is lost in online shopping from retailers who offer free returns, free shipping on returns. That whole shipping for returns and returning. And, when you return stuff, most of the time, those returns get tossed. They don't get put back into inventory. I know a lot of people think that they're just going to be sold to someone else, but they're not. They're really not. There are companies like Third Love who say things like, when you return something to us, we wash it and we send it to a homeless shelter or something like that. And that is a selling point because so many companies toss returns. And so it is a huge money loser for them. Returns, free shipping on returns, and then to lose the item in returns. And so I have a feeling that companies are going to have to figure something out so that that's not the system anymore. You know, I know a lot of people, they'll buy like an 8 and a 10 to make sure that something fits right. So, I don't know. There are definitely things I don't like buying online. I mean, y'all know that I live in long sleeve black t-shirts, and I wear them when I'm teaching in person. I wear them when I'm teaching online. So those, I just buy refills. You know, when things get torn or ripped or there's too much pilling or whatever, those online. But, you know, I don't like shopping for everything online. Ironically, I read a study that suggests counterfeit items made more sales of genuine luxury items, as once the fakes broke, people bought genuine. I've not heard that. It kind of sort of makes sense, but I mean, I think people should just not buy knockoffs to begin with. What are thoughts about fashion collecting? Example, collecting Birkin bags. I've never thought about it. You know, Catherine Hagen has some drawing videos on Otis's channel. Yeah, I think I knew that at once upon a time. She's no longer at Otis, but she was my teacher in school, and I have the textbook that she wrote. And she was actually writing it while she was teaching us. Have you ever doubted yourself going into fashion instead of a safer career? Were you ever going to be something other than fashion? No. Bye, Terry. What are your thoughts on drag queen culture influencing mainstream media and the fashion industry? I'm assuming you're talking about like RuPaul's Drag Race and how Billy Porter is, you know, just breaking all kinds of gender barriers on the runway and on the red carpet for awards and at the Met Gala and stuff. And I am super into it. Like I was talking about before, about how toxic masculinity is affecting the boundaries of menswear and what men can wear without being teased mercilessly by their peers. I'm into it. I'm into men just wearing whatever the hell they want. My husband owns a couple of kilts, like utility kilts and other kinds of kilts. He's not Scottish, not even close, but he wears kilts and he looks good in them because he has nice legs. And he gets some looks sometimes, but my husband is all of that I don't give a bleep energy. We're both kind of like that. And so people look at him, he does not care. And I love that. And I would love more people to be about that. And so if there's anything that's influencing men to wear whatever they want and influencing all people to just live and let live and let people express themselves visually in however which I'm all for that. I love those black wing pencils. Yes, they're so nice. Apparently there's a white set that has a softer lead. Although I don't know if I want anything that's too much softer than 2B for everyday use, but Moni knows. So that reminds me, back to the Barney's thing about the authentic brands deal is think about the importance of your brand's name and whether selling it to someone else for them to use is a smart idea. Because if Barney's has more control over how it's being used, like authentic brands can only use it in, you know, XYZ circumstances, that's one thing. But if they have limited control to license it out however they want, that just really screams that Barney's is desperate. Like they really need that money and they're willing to sell their name, their last remaining bit of cachet, to get the money, to stay afloat, and to keep the company going. And, it's happened to designers. I don't think so much to department stores, but to designers like Pierre Cardin. He was big in the 60s. He continued to grow. And then he licensed his name out to too many things. And so the cachet of the Pierre Cardin name just kind of dropped and nobody wanted his stuff anymore. And so nowadays, do we talk about Pierre Cardin? Are they still in business? Do we know? Do we care? Okay. Hey, Zoe, I have a problem with designing a uniform for a company as there's only a few things you can change about a uniform. How would you go about incorporating inspiration into it? With a uniform, it's really about the function. If I had to wear a uniform for school or for a job, I don't really care about the design. I want it to have pockets. I want it to allow me to have the physical freedom to do whatever I want, move however I need to. And I want it to be in a fabric that breathes so it's comfortable to wear for 8-hour, 10-hour shifts. But there's a long history of uniform. And I mean, even something as simple as pockets, I could design pockets for like an hour, just different pockets. Okay? And so just take every element of that uniform and turn it around in your head and think about the best way to execute it. What is the most comfortable thing for them to wear? And what is the best way for them to maintain it? Does it need to be dry clean only? Does it have to be ironed perfectly? Does it have to be starched? Does anybody who work a job where they wear a uniform want to put in that much effort into their uniform? Probably not. Okay. So form follows function. Practicality wins over everything. And people appreciate feeling comfortable when they're working. What are your thoughts on the Tommy Zendaya collaboration? I think they're awesome. I think when Tommy Hilfiger accidentally said that his clothes were not for Black people, he really dug himself a grave and he is digging himself out. When I go online to shop, I'm doing so to buy things I can't find in my area. Yeah, like brands that I can't find around me. And I live just outside of San Francisco. There are a lot of things I can find, but not everything. Oh, I lost my place again. Where do you think is the best small company to have an internship at? Any place that treats you well. I don't know enough about like every single individual company out there to really say like, it is true that working or interning at a small company is a good idea because you'll be made to wear a lot of different hats and you'll be working for different departments, and that'll be good. Oh my God, we've been online for an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, we're gonna rapid fire whatever is currently in the chat, and then we're gonna close it up. If I were to debut a capsule collection, what key pieces do you think I should include to ensure a great kickoff to my design biz? That completely depends on what you're doing. I don't ever recommend you do a person just starting to do a full lineup where they're doing tops and pants and skirts and dresses and coats and jackets. I recommend, especially in this market, to open with a one item category. So not just like one jacket, but like a small collection of jackets. Never knew that companies just toss returns. That would be the first thing on my sustainability quota, along with no more polyester. It is definitely something to think about what you do with returns. It's a huge deal. Another thing is shipping materials. That's just something, that's something that people don't really think about, but shipping materials leads to a ton of waste. I know major fashion places to go to in US, either New York or California. Do you know what the differences are in having a fashion career in these two places? Yeah, I mean, New York, the big brands that go to New York Fashion Week, they're known for the high fashion brands, and they have their offices in New York. And LA is becoming more and more of a fashion capital than it was before. They're better known for sustainability. They're better known for active, athleisure, which is a bigger and bigger category every year. LA is known for denim, which of course is an industry staple. So it depends on what category within fashion you would like to be in. Okay, I'm just skipping questions that I can't answer. Be very, very happy that you did not grow up in South Carolina. Even the 70s and 80s, the South was an endless void of bigotry and hate, and all that hate had no problem extending to fashion. Yeah, so in the 90s, I had an oppa who went to Duke, and Duke is not in North Carolina, but close enough, right? And he came home on holiday and was like, it's not great for a tan Korean guy. Hey Zoe, what do you think could be the next revolution in fashion, or do you think there's nothing really new yet to come in the field? I think that zero waste cutting could be a minor sector that blows up. I think 3D printing is going to be really viable. 3D printing is sustainable because it wastes no fabric. It prints exactly what is needed for whatever piece of garment that you're printing, so you have no fabric waste to try to get rid of. But different aspects of sustainability are going to be a big deal. Explain why I can't get the Indian pants or actual yoga clothes. Oh, I have to shop online for style. That should be popular because there are two patterns of yoga pants that are the ones that come from India, and then there's the ones that Americans make. Can somebody explain why I can't get Indian pants or actual yoga clothes? I don't know. I don't do yoga, and I don't wear yoga pants, and so I've never tried. What do you think about the 2020 election? The Democratic debate is going on right now as we speak, and there are some people there who do not need to be there. That's all I'm going to say about that. What about towards image of fat girls they have of this fangirl area that's just certain styles of genre and brands and the way that they market that makes you think they don't really respect us? I don't really understand what the question is. I think that you're just complaining about how fat girls are portrayed in plus fashion. And I agree with you. A lot of the images are not good. Fat girls have every ability to be as fashionable, and it's time that designers really acknowledge that fat girls don't want to wear the same flattering two-piece whatever all the time, but also want to wear the trendy things. Okay, I think that's it. That is all the questions that I am able to answer because I can understand what the question is and whatnot. And we've gone over time, but I have loved this jam session with you all very much. Thank you for all your good wishes on my family, and thank you for being here. Thank you for all the kind messages you send me about me being helpful, my videos being helpful. I love it. And yeah, good luck with all of your projects, with all of your companies. Did someone just call me coach? I like that. Thank you to everyone all over the world. Yes, I will. Zoe for 2020. Yeah, I don't want that job. Listen, there are a lot of jobs I want. I do not want to be president of the US. I honestly do not think I'm smart enough for that. But I could run like a whole division on how sustainable industries regarding the impact, the garment industry in the US, and how it could be regulated by federal law to be better. Like, I would be so into that, actually. So not president, but you can like put me in charge of like one small section of trade, put me in charge, because garment industry is huge. Anyway, I'll work for Pixar, I'll work for the government, whatever. All right, good night, everyone. It is almost 7:30 over here. I need to go. I need to eat dinner. You all be amazing. Keep practicing. Hashtag practice not magic. Keep reading the news. It's so important to keep up with fashion news and keep up with the fashion, what fashion is doing. I posted this about on Instagram, but I really want you all to listen to this one episode of American Fashion Podcast, okay? American Fashion Podcast recently posted an episode where they interview the designers at Badgley Mischka. And Badgley Mischka is not a name that has a lot of excitement around it these days, but when they first started in the late 80s, I love them. When I was in high school, their evening gowns were just so glamorous and so wonderful and so everything not Alaska. And they have been in business for 30 years, and not a lot of people can say that. They have been in business for 30 years and they have consistently grown. And so in this podcast episode, they talk about how the industry has changed and how they have had to change with the industry to stay relevant, to stay in business, and to keep growing, and all the different things that they had to do. And I thought it was just so great. And if you are at all interested in building your own brand, your own company, I think it is definitely worth an hour of your time to listen to this particular episode. All right. So with that, signing off, and remember, my video schedule is first Tuesday, I'm going to publish a prepared video, and every third Tuesday of the month, I'll be doing a live stream. All right? Mwah! Bye.